All right. We're recording now. Sorry about that. Thank you, Corey. All right. So what I just said, I'll repeat. We're going back to the basics. We're going to talk about the walk around. We're going to talk about, you got to get the customer, sweep the customer off their feet with a great meet and greet. Start with a nice meet and greet, form a connection with the customer, and then start moving. And then everything's going to go smoothly from there. So we got a group, man. They're all coming in now. You got anything to say, Dave, before we get started?
No, let's get rolling.
All right, let's get it on. All right, so I mentioned be informative, be interesting, be entertaining, enthusiastic, plus keep it moving. So when I say be informative, you don't have to show. Oh, people entered the wrong. Wait, all right, there we go. Everybody coming in late, disrupting my momentum, baby. Sorry, we're back on track. You want to show the customer that you're really knowledgeable in the vehicle you're selling, but you don't want to get to the point where you're boring the customer. You want to make sure that what you share with the customer is information pertaining to their particular need. So in order to do that, you have to have knowledge of the customer's value drivers. And what are the value drivers? They're their needs, their wants, their desires. What do they want in their new vehicle? And one of the things you want to find out is, why do they want it? Why is it important? So that when you do a walk around, you can share the information right back to the customer. And again, I'm telling you, if you do it the right way, your vehicle is going to stand out from the competition. So you have to have product knowledge, but not only your product, but the competitor's product. And the best way to find out what the customer is comparing your vehicle to is to simply ask them, what other vehicles are you considering? Not what other vehicles are you looking at? Because remember, looking at is a wide spectrum, whereas you narrow it down to what they're considering. We often talked about the buyer's journey, how there's 3 stages. The first stage is the awareness stage, where they realize they want a vehicle. And then they go into a discovery stage, where they determine the exact vehicle they want, and they discover who they want to do business with and what vehicle they want to do business on. So that's where they're narrowing their search down, and then they get into the decision stage as to exactly what they're going to do. So you go from awareness through discovery into decision. And once they make that decision, you really got to grab and hold their attention. It's really important that you do that. So with that said, you have to have knowledge of what the customer, their other considerations are. I think it's really important so that you can make really good comparisons. So the value drivers are the factors that increase the worth of the vehicle. And you determine the customer's value drivers. I'm going to share with you some questions that you should ask. And there could be the differentiating factor from the vehicle that they're comparing it to, because you took the time to do it. You took the time to determine the customer's true value drivers. So their wants, their needs, and their desires are their value drivers. Now, you have to satisfy the need before you satisfy the want, because if it doesn't have what the customer absolutely needs, then it's useless. So you can take a test drive, do anything you want, but if it doesn't have what the customer absolutely needs, then you got a problem. So here's a list of questions that I would recommend that you ask your customers. We've talked about it before. Again, Dave can provide you and Corey can provide you with these questions, but what's the reason for wanting a new vehicle or another vehicle is a great question to ask. And I think you can do this. You don't necessarily have to bring them into the showroom. On a nice day, you can walk the lot casually and ask them these questions. I think a really important question is what research have you done so far? Because people are doing more online than ever before. 90%, 80% of the work is already done before they even step foot in the dealership or even contact the dealership. So how familiar are you with the latest technology and safety features of these new cars? And what type of vehicle are you considering? And do you prefer a light or darker color? Will you be doing any towing? People forget to ask those questions. Will you be using children's car seats? How many passengers usually ride along? We often talk about the DIMTY, how giving the customer the DIMTY, do I matter to you? They get a sense that they matter to you by asking these questions. These are you don't have to ask every one of them, but you should be knowledgeable of every one of them. Do you have any pets riding along that will be riding along? That opens up really strong communication with the customer. What type of driving will you be doing? Is it primary? And then kind of like egg them on a little bit. Is it highway driving? Is it surface roads? Is it like rural? Do you garage? Do you have enough space in your garage? How often do you like to change vehicles? How many miles a year do you usually drive? And what's most important to you in your next vehicle? What are your must-have features? And why do you have to have those features? I want leather interior because I want a sunroof because I want cruise control because what's important in the next vehicle, what are the must-have features is really, really important. And you got to dig a little deeper as to why they want these things. So what safety features are important to you? Do you want blind spot monitoring, lane departure? Show the customer that you're knowledgeable of the vehicles that are being sold. You want automatic braking, so on and so forth. Has your needs changed since your last vehicle? What's the reason for wanting a new vehicle? Have your needs changed? Yeah, I had another baby. Or we had another baby. And what other vehicles are you considering? So I can make comparisons. And you're driving. Let's not talk about trade too early in the process either, because what happens when you ask a customer, are you trading in a vehicle? They say, yeah, I'm trading in a vehicle. And the very next question they ask you is, what's it worth? The next thing you know, you're not on the vehicle, you're on the trade-in. So, you know, they drove in a car. What are you currently driving? What do you like most about what you're driving? What do you like least? What would you like to see different in the vehicle from the vehicle you're driving? Did you purchase the vehicle new? And how long have you owned the current vehicle? How long have you been driving it? Do you keep it in the garage? I mentioned earlier. How often do you like to service your vehicles? And for F&I, did you purchase any enhancements such as the vehicle service contract, paint and fabric, or guaranteed asset protection, something we can help you get a refund on? These are the questions that I think you should be asking your customer prior to doing a walk around, because the information that they're going to provide to you based on these questions are going to give you a world-class walk around. Because all you're going to do when you walk around that car is you're going to point out those features and benefits that best suit the customer's driving habits or their value drivers. So with that said, I'll open the door up for any questions, any comments, anything at all. Let me make sure I got everybody in here. I believe I do. Okay, we're good to go. Any questions at all? Corey, you want to add anything? David, anything? Any managers out there want to add anything? Open your mic. Open mic. All right, I guess we're good to go. So you mentioned to me earlier, that's the thing. When you're walking around that vehicle, if you ask the right questions, you're able to say to them, the reason I'm sharing this information with you is because of what you mentioned to me earlier. I know that adaptive cruise control is really important to you because you spend a lot of time on the highway. I know the children's safety features and the airbags are really important to you because you have 3 children in the back seat and you just had one on arrival. So we'll talk about a spaced walk around. This is old school, but hey, I've been doing this a long, long time. So what does the spaced walk around actually mean? It means safety. You're going to point out safety features, performance features, appearance features, comfort features, economy features, and dependability factors. That's it. That's the spaced walk around. And remember, you point out the safety features, performance, appearance, comfort, and economy, and dependability features and benefits that pertain to their particular situation that they explain to you during your needs assessment. Now, I'm not one, although there's probably some managers out there on this webinar that will probably disagree. I'm not one for a formal needs assessment, but I do want to write things down. And I do want to commit them to memory. And the reason I want to do that is, once again, I want to show the customer that Dimpty, that they do matter to me. And the reason I'm asking these questions is because I want to make sure we get the right car, a car that suits all your wants and needs. That's my goal. That's what I do. And all I need to do, once I get the customer to say, I want the car, after I do that wonderful walk around, is get them in and off we go on a test drive. So let's look at some safety features. These are some safety features that I would highly recommend you point out because other sales consultants aren't. And these are all standard on every vehicle manufactured in the United States today. The number one is crumple zones. I know people laugh at me, crumple zones. When crumple zones first came out back in the early 80s, I was showing the crumple zones to everybody. And then it kind of lost sight because we realized that every vehicle in the country is required to have crumple zones. But no one points it out anymore. And this is going to make, seriously, this will make your vehicle unique to the other vehicles that are being shown. Shatterproof glass. I know that sounds, that's ridiculous. All vehicles have shatterproof glass. I remember when shatterproof glass first came out, you had the gray market Mercedes-Benz and BMWs that didn't have shatterproof glass, and they were less expensive. And then you have airbags, the number of airbags. Before, there was only one airbag on the driver's side. Now you can point out that this vehicle has side airbags, airbags in the back seat, wherever the airbags are. This is a very safe vehicle. You might have someone who's looking to buy a new car because they just totaled the vehicle. And all these safety features are really important to them. Anti-lock brakes, another standard feature on every vehicle that's manufactured out there. Backup cameras. Since I forget when they were introduced or when they were mandatory, but every vehicle has backup cameras. You're selling Hondas, they have side view cameras. Some of these vehicles have the top camera. The cameras are ridiculous. I mean, you can't get away from the cameras, and you need to point all this out to the customer. Then you have electronic stability control, which is standard equipment, makes the car more stable no matter what size the vehicle is on the road. And then you have tire pressure monitors. That is standard equipment. I didn't know this until I did the research. I didn't think tire pressure monitors were standard. A lot of people don't know this. And when you point that out, and you don't have to say, you could say they're standard in our vehicles, okay? Or you can say this vehicle is equipped with tire pressure monitors as well. Another safety feature, traction control, mandatory in all vehicles manufactured in the United States. Now, optional safety features. These are some of the things that a customer would mention to you when you ask them, what do you know about the latest, or what research have you done on the latest technology and safety features in some of these vehicles? Some people want to trade in a car like a cell phone because they want the latest technology. It's a fact. So you got to go over this. Collision prevention. Unbelievable, man. You couldn't have an accident if you tried. And then you have blind spot monitoring. So when you're changing lanes, it's going to tell you don't change the lane. Brake assist, okay? So when you do brake and someone hard brakes in front of you, the car's going to brake, or when you're backing up, it's going to brake. These are safety features that you familiarize yourself with and share the information with the customer, because quite frankly, a lot of sales consultants aren't. And then lane assist, pedestrian detection. You want to try to run that old lady over, it's not going to happen, okay? And then you got speed control, adaptive cruise control. That's a great option. But think about it this way. What if that customer only drives 30 miles a week? Are you going to spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes on adaptive cruise control? No, you just mentioned that this vehicle, when you do get on the highway, has adaptive cruise control. Would you like more information about it? Because, yeah, I'm interested in that. Have that conversation with the customer as you're walking around that car. And then automatic adaptive headlights, so you don't have to put your high beams on, and they adjust to the, to the darkness and to the roads condition. Great. These safety features are unbelievable on vehicles today. Parking assist. Everybody made fun of me during the Super Bowl about Hyundais, and you have Smart Park. People don't even realize that they have some of these features. I just got off the phone earlier, David, you'd appreciate this, Corey, with a client of mine who was talking about me going into a store, and they have a special online presence and they do special things online. And when the customer gets to the showroom, everything's pretty much done online, but the sales Phil brings the deal up to the tower and says, look, the customer wants to buy this car at a $5,000 discount, never even shows them the car. This happens all the time. Seriously. For the sales managers out there, it's very frustrating to see a sales consultant go and meet and greet a customer on the showroom, on the lot, immediately bring them in, sit them down, come up to the desk. Bill wants a price on this car. He saw it in the ad. He saw it on the internet. Remember, 80%, I truly believe this. If anybody disagrees, let me know. But I believe 80% of the customers that are sitting in your lot or contacting your lot have done their research. They know exactly what they want to pay. They know exactly the car. My neighbor just bought a car totally online. The dealership is 12 miles away. And it was unbelievable. In 3 hours, the sales consultant drove the car to their home and drove the trade back to the dealership. Everything was done online. That's what people want to do. I've often talked about the three types of scenarios that we encounter today as far as buyers. You have the digital customer who wants to do everything completely online. Then you have the hybrid customer who'll do as much as they can online, but is more than willing to come to the dealership and take delivery. And then you have the traditional buyer who still has a flip phone and has to come to delivery and start everything there. And those are far and few between. I don't know what the percentages are, but I can tell you the lowest percentage is the traditional buyer. I think the highest percentage, and I think everybody agree with me, would be the hybrid, the one who wants to do as much as they can online, get as much information they possibly can, and then complete the transaction at the dealership so they can physically touch the car, shake hands with the person they've been doing business with over the phone, and see the dealership. I truly believe that. So telematics. For those in F&I, I've been using this telematic thing as a close for service contracts. There's 100 lines of code every time you press the start button, every time you unlock the car, the key fob, it's telematics. There's 100 lines of thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. That all these computers and modules and sensors are telling what the other modules, computers, and sensors should be doing, even when you turn the car off. So it doesn't matter how many miles you drive in a car these days. It's all about the telematics. It's all about the electronics in these vehicles. Believe me, it takes a cell phone, this computer, to run that vehicle. We talk about powertrain coverage. Behind me, I picked this up at Lowe's. It's a little toy that I put together to show powertrain versus the computers that run the powertrain. Great little tool for selling more service contracts. Back up there, keep my office in order, know where everything is. And you got child safety features. For those of you who have got kids running around, you can make the assumption that these customers are definitely interested in child safety features. How many times have you pointed out the child safety locks on doors? How many times, and I know it's not done a lot, because how many times have I had a friend of mine try to get out of the back and didn't even realize that it was a child safety lock? What's wrong with your door? Oh, you got to flick this switch. It's child safety locks. These are some of the things that we overlook because they're so common. But these are the things, when pointed out, that differentiate you from your competition. So we move on from safety features. I mean, just look at some of these safety features. Every F&I manager in the group, the Classic Group, has this illustration. This is the technology behind vehicles, and nearly half of it is required by law. I mean, you got cross traffic alert, park assist, surround view, you got emergency braking, pedestrian collision avoidance, adaptive cruise control. Here's another illustration of different vehicle sensors in these cars. These cars are the computers on wheels, and there's nothing wrong with saying that to a customer while you're doing this walk around. So we've gone through the safety features. Let's talk about performance features. Tell the customer what the maximum speed if they're interested in performance. You know, you can tell by the vehicle the customer is most interested in, the styling of the vehicle, if they're interested in performance. You have a lot of gearheads out there that know a lot, and that did a lot of research on these particular vehicles. And you have many models. The Classic Group sells, like the Hyundais and the Hondas and the Toyotas. They have a lot of these vehicles that are performance, geared towards performance. Acceleration, aerodynamics. The spoiler is there for a reason. The front spoiler is there for a reason. Keep the car low, keep the car to the ground. If you're selling Jeeps, for those selling, Jeeps, gradability. Talk about gradability in these vehicles. How high, at what angle they'll climb. Talk about drivability, how smooth this car is, and the traction control. And it has 3 levels. You have the sports, you have the normal, and then you have the economy that will adjust the suspension and the ride. Talk about these things. Talk about the horsepower that's if you have a gearhead. The torque. All this stuff is important to some people, not to everybody. Turbocharged or supercharged, so on and so forth. Let's get into appearance features. These vehicles are built a certain way and appear to look like a certain way because trim. The vehicle has blacked out wheels. The vehicle has color side moldings or whatever. The tinted glass. The trim on this vehicle, the special wheels, the low profile wheels, the spoiler, the front grille. Everything's designed to make this car perform better. Drivability, all this stuff should be mentioned during your walk around. The wheels, the mirrors close on impact. When you shut the car off, how the mirrors go in. You have a tight garage. The glass, tinted glass, so on and so forth. I know I'm kind of redundant here, but it's really important that you point these features out to a customer. The interiors are a lot different on trim levels. Some of them have, leather, tufted leather, sewed leather, molded leather. All this different stuff. Then you got comfort features. That would be the C in spaced. So we're getting right through the spaced walk around. So some of the comfort features are the seating. These aren't your traditional seating. These are the Recaro. I make fun of, for those of you who've been in the business a long time, remember Ricardo Montalban, all right? Corinthian leather. Those are the things you want to point out. I was saying Corinthian leather when I was selling Chrysler on the Matador and the Cordoba. This has Ricardo Montalban Corinthian leather. It was ridiculous. All the controls and the convenience of where the controls are and how you can set everything up through the radio and the different stages of the radio. You know, I bought a Jeep and I didn't realize that the Jeep, that you could see all the gauges in the Jeep. I had to do it myself. You should do the walk around as if you're delivering the vehicle. That's exactly how you should do the walk around. You determine what's important to the customer and you point out all those features. When you start your walk around, or when you start your test drive or bring the car up to the showroom, you should move everything back, set the air conditioner, the heat right, set a radio station on what you feel the customer low, what type of music they like, and then perform your walk around. This is really how you got to isolate that car, do that walk, and that's selling. You are selling the sizzle, not just the steak. How this car has climate control, dual climate control, hands-free technology. A lot of people don't talk about that. You know, hands-free technology is awesome. I still see people with new cars, 2022, 23, 24, still on their cell phone. They don't realize that they can just put the cell phone in the console and then do everything by hand because no one took the time to explain it. And again, this definitely differentiates you from the competition. You're doing exactly what you hired to do, and you're making more money because this is where you build the value. You don't build a value in negotiation. You build a value right here. So when you sit down, it's not a negotiation anymore. It's just nothing more than a discussion of price. And that's what we're going to talk about next webinar. We're going to talk about how to overcome customers' resistance or customers' apprehensions or addressing their concerns. Talk about the convenience features. How many cup holders are in the vehicle? How many the storage capacity of the vehicle? So on and so forth. Now we get into economy. What type of engine it is and the type of, economy that it gets. If it's a hybrid, so on and so forth. The aerodynamics of the vehicle. So it cuts through the wind easy, especially when you're on the highway. The gas mileage, the maintenance. That's all part of the economy of the vehicle. The upkeep. So on and so forth. Anything else before I get into dependability? How are we doing so far, David?
Doing good. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
All right, dependability. Why is this car so dependability? Because it has a wonderful warranty. 10-year, 100,000 mile. 5 years, 60,000 mile, 336, 560, so on and so forth. JD Powers rates this as number one best car that you can buy. AAA recommends buying this car. How about Consumer Reports recommends buying this car? How about all the awards that this car received? And then there's the window sticker. How do you explain a window sticker? There it is, man, $29,900. Oh, it's actually $33,085. That's a lot of money for a Kia. But anyways, what's it got though? This is the vehicle. This is the performance features. There's the technology and safety features. There's the comfort and convenience features. There's all the appearance features. There's all the dependability factors. There's all the standard features. There's your optional features. There's your economy. There's your safety. And that's how you explain a window sticker. The Monroney. So you end your walk around at the Monroney. As I pointed out, 2024 Soletos SX Turbo. These are the performance features, as I mentioned. These are the technology features. And again, you regurgitate what's most important to them. These are the standard comfort and convenience features in a particular model. These are the appearance features that this vehicle is equipped with. This is what they rate as far as dependability, the warranty. These are the standard features, and these are the optional features which you requested. This vehicle gets 26 miles to a gallon. It's going to cost you, $750 over 5 years, more than the normal vehicle because it's a performance vehicle. Oh, yeah, that's right. And these are the safety features. Any questions? So let's go for a ride. And that's how you sell cars, man. I don't know what else to tell you. So we're going to bring it to you. We're going to bring it back to the basics. We're going to go through this, and this is all available. We taped it. It's ready to go. Share it with your sales team, management team. I'm going to go back a few slides because I want to share something with you. I think it's really important that the managers on this webinar find a way to ask your sales consultants if they actually went over these. In other words, Johnny, you got a customer. What's their reason for trading in the car? The vehicle they're driving. What do they like most about it? What do they like least about it? Did you ask them when you did the appraisal if they purchased a service contract or gap or anything we helped them get a refund on? Have their needs changed? If you ask your sales consultants these questions, you're now coaching them at the sales tower, and you're conditioning them to ask these questions before they get to the sales tower. And that's how they build value. Now go out and do a world-class walk around because you have all the information that you need at your fingertips. Put it in your mental toolbox. Go out and do that walk around, that 360 walk around I mentioned. Now you're informative. Now you're interesting. Now you can entertain because you have a lot of enthusiasm and confidence, and you're able to keep it moving because you gathered all the information. You have their value drivers. You have your product knowledge. You have the competitor's product knowledge. And you know what other vehicles they're considering, so you can make the comparisons. And that's how you build value when you sit the customer down after the test drive and say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, let's go in and talk about the numbers. We can do it one or two ways.
I'm pretty sure I did
credit, personal credit, or average credit. Either way, it doesn't matter to me at this point. Let's go in and talk. And then go in and just close the deal. Any questions? Comments?
I don't know if we got a question or we got a hot mic. I just heard somebody.
We got a high five?
No, a hot mic. I don't know if somebody's got their mic on or they have a question.
Just turn your mic on. We're here to answer any questions you might have.
And Jerry, what would be some of your ideas, and Dave as well, handling some of the situations where you have customers that are hybrid customers, or they are customers like your neighbor that didn't come in at all. So when the customer contacts the dealership, whether it's through the BDC department or whoever through email, how can we do some of these and build value in the vehicle instead of going right to a price transaction over the internet? What's some ideas you guys have to help bridge that gap?
So I am somewhat opinionated when it comes to the sale of a car, and if you don't give them information, they ask for information, don't give it to them, they're just going to go find it somewhere else. You have to form a connection with the customer, and you do that by asking the right questions. So, what are you interested in is a broad question. You got to be more direct. What research have you done so far? What other vehicles are you considering? Why are you in the market for a new car? Where did you see the new car? Is that the color that you want? Is that the vehicle that you want? If everything were right, are you in a position to move forward? If it fits. Yeah. And that hybrid customer, you grab their attention, and then you could either do it online. You could say, okay, I'll tell you what, you have a choice, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Now that we settled that this is the vehicle you want, it has everything that you want. Let me go over some of the additional equipment that this vehicle has and the reason it has it. You gather that same information online or on the phone as if the customer was sitting right in front of you. Now, I imagine this is what happens with a hybrid customer. They press Google and they search for a vehicle. They find a vehicle they're most interested in, then they start researching dealerships. And once they're comfortable with pricing and loans and however they're going to pay for it and trade-in values, they've done all this research. Now it's time to contact a dealership. They contact a specific dealership, one or two dealerships, and that's when you really got to grab and hold their attention. And these are the questions, these are the things that you could be doing online and getting the customer to say, those other people didn't care about me. They didn't ask me these questions. They didn't explain the things to me in the manner that Johnny did over a Classic. I really like Johnny, honey, and I think I'm going to call him and set up an appointment to go look at the car. And if everything's right, we're going to take it. Or he even offered that if everything's right and we agree on the price and everything, that he would bring it to me. And if the trade is exactly what we said it is, he'll just drive the trade back to the dealership. If you guys are willing to do that, by all means, go right ahead. So in answer to your question, Corey, I wouldn't do anything different over the phone, because I think at some point, it's not all done typing. At some point, the customer has got to contact the dealership and speak to someone. They have to. It's not, it just, I don't see, unless it's a high line and it's an off lease, the customer's getting out of a lease and they've done business at the dealership before, maybe everything's done online. But I think at some point during the customer's discovery stage, they actually are in communication, verbal communication with a dealership. And that's when you got to act. Great question, Corey. Anybody else? David?
I think it's key to, like you said earlier, customize it to the customer's situation and their needs on the walk around. But the only way you're going to get there is to ask these types of questions. One question that I would like to add to this list is ask the customer, what is it that you want to accomplish when you leave the dealership today? Let them tell you,
That is a question that we brought up a number of times. You're right. What are you trying to accomplish? You're calling me. What are you trying to accomplish? This is the vehicle you want. It's got the right mileage. You said it had the right mileage, it's the right color, has the right equipment. It was just traded 3 days ago. When can you come and take a test drive in it? And we can, wrap things up. So I think that's a really good question. What are you trying to accomplish? Definitely. The other thing I want to mention that's important is this is a great opportunity for F&I too, because F&I, we talk about it a lot. We can't be, one thing hadn't changed through the pandemic, and that was F&I's role. F&I, when the car was delivered, F&I still did their thing. What I see happening now, and I see a lot of groups like yours maximizing their potential in F&I, because F&I is actually getting involved early. They're not waiting for that customer. They're not printing paperwork and saying, okay, go have it notarized. They're involved. They're calling the customer. They're talking to the customer. They're giving the customer alternatives, how to buy the car, how to, leasing alternatives, financing alternatives. We talk often about, don't talk about beating rates, talk about terms. What terms do you have? Maybe I can better the terms, maybe less money down, longer financing. Don't talk in terms of rate. And, we talked about how rates have changed, 11 times since March of 2022. Those are the things that once F&I gets involved, those are the type of conversations they can have with customers. And again, I think the more people involved online or through the phone, it's going to draw customers closer, because there are always those lingering unanswered questions in a customer's mind. There's always that skepticism and apprehension. If you can fulfill, or you can fill those, those lingering questions and those apprehensions and remove all that resistance, you're going to have that much better time in selling the customer, and you're going to have that much more control of the whole deal itself. I truly believe that. So I'd love to have an open discussion. Don't be shy. You never learn anything by talking. You only learn things by asking questions. Anybody? So thank you for your participation. Go get them. We'll get you guys talking one of these days. I'm curious to see managers out there, watch your sales consultants do the walk-arounds. Take this slide, this presentation, review it in a sales meeting, and then do a walk around the showroom floor. Do a scenario. Have a fake customer, have one of your sales consultants be a customer, and have a sales consultant ask these questions, and then do a walk around based on the facts. And you watch what happens. Make it fun. Do it every single day with every single sales consultant through the next 30 days, and you're going to sell cars like they're coming, like they're falling off the shelf. That would be my recommendation.
I think that's key to it, to the whole thing, is make it fun for them And not only do that, have them, if they don't feel comfortable amongst the managers or their peers, have them grab somebody in the showroom that they feel comfortable with and have them do a video walk around. Have them practice
Absolutely.
video.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, I thank you for your participation and see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, guys.